Hello.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So thank you for being here on this live by Jeune Europe. We are very happy to do this with Enerlida just here. As you may know, Jeune Europe is a blog on which many people just like us write articles about many things that interest our generation in life, about Europe, about the world, about many subjects, many topics. And we want to, the point of the blog is to exchange and, about all these issues and grow all together by this exchange. And we learn from each other, each experiences. And this is what we're going to do tonight, right? So tonight we are going to interview Enerlida and about her experience in Tanzania, right? Mostly we're going to talk about how she helped women in that country, women. So I guess the best is that you introduce yourself, and we start with this. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi,
Great.
everyone. And first of all, I would like to thank you, Laura, and to thank Jeune Europe for this opportunity. So, my name is Enerlida, and I'm 29 years old. And last year, I did this life-changing experience in Tanzania. And I'm happy I can share with you what it meant for me.
Great. That's very good, brief presentation. So I guess we can start with the real interview now. So we'll try to be clear, and I hope this will be really enriching for you. So maybe we could start with putting in a bit of context. So what were the objectives of your volunteering in Tanzania? What was your mission about?
Okay, so first of all, I would like to say that the reason why I decided to go to Tanzania. There were many reasons actually, but the main one was that I wanted to make a difference, and because I was studying economics, so I was very aware of how unequal our world is, and I was feeling inequality as a big injustice. So I just wanted to make something, to act, not just to complain about it. So as we all know, sub-Saharan African countries are among the poorest in the world. So I decided to go there and to try to be useful. Domestic worker project. And I decided to apply for a civil servant experience with CVM. CVM is Comunità Volontari per il Mondo. It's an Italian NGO. They work mainly in Ethiopia and Tanzania with the most vulnerable groups of the society, which are young disadvantaged people and women. With the CVM, I was involved in the project called Creating a Support Network for Domestic Workers in Africa. And my role was to assist the project facilitator in implementing the project. So this project was new in the city where I was living, and the city I was living is called Morogoro. is in Tanzania mainland, so it's not on the coast. I was living in the mainland Tanzania, and I was living in a village in the forest. Um, so it was the first time that a project like this took place in Morogoro. So the first step that we took as a CVM Tanzania team, we started to identify Tanzanian domestic workers in Morogoro. So we started to do door-to-door interviews. We collected the stories of these women who left their villages and came to Morogoro, which is considered to be a big city in Tanzania, and they started to live with their employers and to work at their employer's house. So it was very interesting for me to interview them, because I started to understand what it means to be, a woman in Tanzania, and young, educated, and poor, um, and and I was like, and I really started to understand the culture when I started to interview them. So yeah, so basically, then the project I was working in aimed at selecting 60 domestic workers from those we interviewed, and we provided some sort of training to the domestic workers, and as well to their employers. And at the end of it, we also helped the domestic workers to build a domestic workers association. So even after our project was over, the domestic worker project was still alive, because the association is still alive. So yeah, this is like
Okay.
I really, is like a small sum up of all the things that I did in the project. But if I had to tell you everything, I think that I need like, I don't know, one day maybe.
Sure, but that was good enough to put in context what you did, so that we can understand why you were there and what you were doing there. So this was mainly about helping women, right?
Yes.
So what is the situation of women in Tanzania? How is it like to be a woman in Tanzania?
Well, being a woman in Tanzania is not easy. Because I was reading the other day the gender gap report of the World Economic Forum, and I read that 60% of Tanzanian women live in poverty condition, and 70% of Tanzanian women are employed in informal work. Of these women employed in informal work, 60% are employed as domestic workers. So we can see here that a lot of women work as domestic workers, and this represents a big issue in Tanzania, because being a domestic worker means that you are not treated like a normal worker. You don't have, for example, you don't receive the minimum wage for your category. For example, these women receive a very, very low wage, less than 20 euro per month. And 20 euro per month is the minimum wage for this type of job. I mean, 20 euro
Okay.
per month, you know?
It's nothing.
Um, So, and also they don't have other rights. For example, they don't have leave days. They cannot just go and see their parents or their family in the village whenever they want during the weekends. They work 7 days every day. Without leave day, without day off, and sometimes they have some free time only during Sunday or Friday, but just to go to the church or the mosque. So they totally depend on their employers. So they live like slaves.
Okay.
And the problem is that they live in this situation because they don't know that they are workers and that they have rights as workers. And the problem is also that employers don't know that domestic workers are workers and they have rights. So there is a bit of lack of knowledge about the domestic work situation, and they are not considered workers in the
Okay.
society. This is the main issue.
Okay, so basically, when women don't depend on their fathers or husbands, they depend on their employers.
Yes, basically is like
Okay.
that.
Okay, so it seems like a very complicated situation. So, how exactly helping them professionally, so to gain professional independence or knowledge, at least just knowledge, did help them to emancipate in general?
Well, being more aware of being workers, of having rights, help them to speak for themselves. So help them to be more confident in asking the employer more rights, and also sensitizing the employers about domestic workers' rights helped employers to sign written contract, because usually contracts between domestic worker and the employers are not written. They are just oral. So also because of this, it's easy that the employer don't comply with the obligation as the employer, so don't pay the domestic worker and treats the domestic worker as a slave. So by providing training to domestic workers and also to the employers, we help the domestic worker emancipate. Moreover, we provided professional vocational training to domestic workers that took part to our project. They spent 2 weeks in a professional institution, and in this professional institution, they learned how to clean properly and how to manage the house. And these new skills they learned were certified by a final certificate, and this will make them more appealing for jobs in other sectors, for example, hotel sector. So yeah, we tried to empower them with trainings about human rights, but also professional trainings. And well, I could see the difference because I started the project when they didn't know almost anything about their rights, and at the end they were completely different persons. They were more confident, and they had hope, and they were planning for their future. So I think that the project itself was a tool to empower them.
Okay, so yeah, because if I understood correctly, you did not only help them to get knowledge and to make them aware that they have rights, you also gave them a professional formation. You make them learn new skills so that maybe they can also find better jobs or
Exactly, but
yeah.
not only to for them to find better jobs, but also to get better contract conditions with their current employers. And after this professional training, we went to interview the employers, and the employers were very happy about the fact that got this professional training, because the domestic worker was feeling more empowered, so she had new skills. So she was like more willing to cook new stuff, to do better her job, and also they could get a rise in their salary, which, you know, they were feeling more confident also to ask this.
Yeah, that was the question I was thinking about. Is obviously that was very positive for the woman, but that was exactly what I was wondering: is how employers actually react to this? Because I was thinking maybe
Yeah,
some of them would not be happy, but they have to sign real contracts. But you
yeah.
seem to say that well.
Yes, well, actually, it was difficult to convince the employers to come to our workshop where we
Yeah,
sensitized them. But the project facilitator, he was really great in doing that. He was like um, able to convince them and to make them see like the advantage of all this. So after they came to the workshop and they signed the contract, they started to realize that this is like a benefit for the domestic worker, but also for the employer itself, because, you know, in the house there is another more quiet and open environment, because
yeah, it's like
everybody, yeah,
go
so
ahead.
yeah, no, it's okay.
It's like being happier in your job makes you just do a better job in general. So everyone has something to earn from it,
Yeah.
from this change.
Mm-mm.
Um, so do you know if this changed some of these women's life in a very concrete way? Do you know how out of the professional life, if this helped them, I don't know, having more free time, so develop a hobby, or maybe socialize more?
Yes, so for domestic workers, okay, then I started to, even if we did the first phase where we identified the domestic workers and interviewed them, I always kept on interviewing domestic workers, because I was building a database with the domestic workers of Morogoro. And in order to, you know, make some studies out of it, to see how is the situation, so we needed to have a lot of data. So I kept to interviewing domestic workers, even with a researcher. She was doing research on domestic workers, so was very nice for me to work with her, because she was an anthropologist. So I
Okay.
had another view of how to interview people, you know, for anthropologic perspective. So we asked to domestic workers whether they had friends, you know, whether they had free time. What did they do during their free times? So all the girls told us that they were just chilling at home, maybe watching TV, but they didn't have many friends, you know. However, after our project, when we helped to create this domestic worker association, they also made new friends. So for them, the association was also a way to socialize with other people, with friends, and was a way also to have someone to rely on when they have problems, because they were all alone, they couldn't speak with people about their problems. So yes, this project helped them also to they improved their lives also under this aspect.
But that's really good, yes, because it obviously helped them to have a life outside of the job. Because if their job is working in a house and during their free time they stay in that house, even though they don't work, they don't actually get a real personal life
Yeah.
outside of this. So it's actually very interesting that they got with the association that was created afterwards. They don't just only get a better job life, they actually get a
Yes,
life of their own.
exactly.
They
Yes,
and how
exactly. Mhm. Yes.
that's really good, I think. um, well, on I'm interested now on a more personal scale. Yourself. So you went there, you helped in this project, but what did this experience bring into your life, into your personal life? Because you helped other women
Well,
in experience, and what did this give to you?
oh, so nice. So, well, this experience completely changed my way of approaching life. Uh, because, well, actually, I was feeling a bit oppressed in our Western society because people, we all tend to be a lot self-centered. So we have lost our capacity to rely on one another, and we see depending on one another as a weakness. In Tanzania, this concept is the opposite because the person is always in relation to the community. And this taught me the importance of thinking more in terms of community. And I learned how to let myself depend on others and also let others depend on me. And also, I learned how to ask for help and how to help others when they were asking for help. So I'm, let's say, more open to others in general in my life. I think that is not good to be too much self-centered or too much, on the community. I think, of course, we need to find the right balance. And I believe that this experience helped me to find a bit of balance. But I think that this is like an ongoing job. It's never ending. So,
So
um,
this was a start for you of something new.
yes, but also another thing that I learned that changed my way of approaching life is that in Tanzania people are more focused on the present, on the moment. They generally don't plan too much about the future, don't worry too much about things they can't control. In our societies we are all about controlling, all about stressing out, all about ambition. So I think had the opportunity to see another way of living, another way of living life, helped me to be less stressed, less anxious, and to not care so much about the future, to not care so much about controlling everything. So I think that this year in Tanzania helped me to know better myself by knowing better another
Mhm.
culture. So yes, it completely changed the way
So
I
it's
approach life.
it's like what we often say is opening ourselves to others and almost strangeness, help us know ourselves better, right?
Yes, yes, it's like that. Or maybe
Well,
it just help us to see that it's not that our culture is the best. Like we can learn a lot from other cultures because even because other cultures have also something that we can learn.
mhm.
So yes, for me was like that.
So is there any particular achievement that you helped bringing into life? So that concerns yourself or among the people you were working there? So any achievement that made you very proud?
Well, let's say that the best achievement for me was taking part to this experience. So was the experience itself. The greatest achievement was having had the opportunity to live in Tanzania, to get to know a different culture, to open my views of the world, to be involved in a cooperation project as a member of CVM Morogoro team. When I was in Tanzania, I was living with my colleagues, with my Tanzanian colleagues. So for me was like a great experience because I could live with local people, and it was like wow, I can really learn from them every day because we were living together, working together. So I was like 100% in the culture.
Okay. So how is it like? So you come, so you were born in Albania, but you grew up in Italy. How was it for you to get into Tanzania's life? You said you were among the citizens there. How was it for you to maybe integrate this new culture? Was there maybe something more difficult than the rest?
No, well, you mean to integrate from Albania to Italy or from Italy to, I mean,
So,
sorry, I didn't get the answer, the question.
you were born in Albania but grew up in Italy, so
Yes.
let's say mostly in Europe. How was it from this background, these different cultures, and arrive in Tanzania, where it probably is all different? So how was it to live among these people for you to integrate their culture?
Well, I think that I didn't have much problems about adapting to the Tanzanian culture because of my background. I already was used. I already was used to adapt to different culture because I was 6 years old when I arrived to Italy. So I had to completely adapt to something very different. Thanks to this background, for me, it wasn't that difficult to adapt to Tanzanian culture. Well, the difficult part was to let go some habits that I had from Italy. For example, all those comfortable things that are having like a washing machine, having hot water, having electricity every hour of the day, you know but wasn't big
Mhm.
deal for me. It was like at the beginning, it was a bit, because you are losing a habit. But in the end, it didn't take me much time to adapt.
Okay, so it was more about adaptation. Was there any cultural shock?
Well, I I could see the differences, but I wasn't shocked. I mean, I was like living the experience without judging anything. I was just being a visitor without any opinion. So for me, it wasn't a shock. I was just being aware that is a different culture, and I was observing how people were living without having an opinion or judging or having expectation. So yes, I don't think I had a real cultural shock.
Okay, so speaking about this, there is a question I'd like to ask you is how do you conciliate the fact that even though you were definitely here to help these people, coming only with good intentions and hoping to bring good around you, you still arrived there as a European woman coming from a developed country to help a developing one. I mean, personally, I have always been interested in such experience, but I mean, helping the poorest. or the most discriminated. But I'm always wondering, how do you handle this tension that comes from our historical past, based on domination from the developed on the developing ones? Or I mean, have you experienced such a tension? And if so, how did you handle it? Or am I just imagining things? So in general, to make my question clearer, how was it for you to exchange with these people, considering all this?
Okay, so well, when I decided to go to Africa, I was very aware of my privileges because the choice itself was a privilege. Holding a Italian passport is a privilege because I can
Mm-hmm.
travel all around the globe, basically. So I knew that I once I would go to Africa, I would still have my privileges. But so why I decided to go to Africa despite all my privileges and me being aware of it? I went to Africa because I wanted to, how can I say, give up my privileges. I just wanted, to adapt to the culture, to try to give up my privileges in order to make the world a bit more equal because I gave up my privileges. But
Mm-hmm.
so I started to, adapt to the local culture. I was living in a typical Tanzanian house, eating Tanzania food, using public transport. So I was trying to live like an average Tanzanian person.
Okay.
However, when I was with the beneficiaries of the project or with people my age, but Tanzanians, I could still feel like, even if I was trying to be like, to act like I'm not different, please treat me like equal. Actually, I wasn't feeling equal because I could go back to my country whenever I wanted. So I still had my privileges. And of course, this was bothering me because no matter how hard I was trying, to just get rid of them, because I wanted to feel like I'm doing something to make the world more equal, and I'm starting from myself. I'm starting from myself to live a life without privileges. But still, I was there and I was having my privileges. I could feel that I was different. So,
Mm-hmm.
in the end, I was thinking about this and I was like, but why I'm not able to free myself from these? And I think that is because privileges is something that we cannot decide to take or to get rid of. It's like
Mm-hmm.
something that society we are born in gives to us. Is something that the society we live in gives to us. So is like a society problem. Of course, the society is composed by individuals. So but is like a society problem, so to mm, we have to cooperate together to change the society, the institutions, to change the system we live in order to change this world based on privileges, on inequality, on injustice. So this is like the last consideration that I made. So the point is, we need, I mean, if we don't want to live in a world that is unequal and full of people who have privileges and people who have not, we have to change it. We have to change the society.
Okay, so that's what you tried to do during this experience.
Yes. Yes, I mean,
And
it's not that because I still was feeling privileged of I still was feeling privileged, I stopped to giving up my privileges. I'm always trying, to live
Mhm,
like an essential life, to focus on essential things, to not being too materialistic. Of course, I
mhm.
try every day of my life, and I hope that I'm sure that other people in Western countries do the same. So maybe the society will change. I hope so.
So it is a daily work, a daily struggle to
Yes,
have to always put things into question, into perspective.
yes.
Yes, okay. It's really, really interesting.
Mm.
We have a couple of questions from people
Okay.
listening to us. So the first one is, how long was your stay in Africa? I think you said you mentioned it, but was it all in all?
Well, I stayed in Africa from March to December, so it was 10 months.
Okay.
And yes,
Okay.
I came, yes.
Okay. That's clear enough. We have another question, which is, how is it possible to apply for an experience like this? So I guess it depends on the practical way you get involved into such an
Is this
experience.
question from an Italian person or is like from abroad? Because
Oh, well, from
Italian.
yes,
Okay.
in person, yes, I can see that.
Okay. So it's like is like a call for application. Usually it's like every year we have this call for applications is from our Ministry of the Interior, and it's everybody can apply to it. You have just to be European citizen. You have to be from 18 to 28 years old, I think, and
Okay.
you have just to monitor this call for application. Generally it comes out around June, July, but now I don't know with this COVID situation how it's gonna be. I don't think that this year they are gonna promote this type of program, of volunteering program. So I am not sure, but generally is from June, July. You have this call of for application, and you just read the call and then follow the instructions.
Okay, so is there any particular skill that is requested, or can anyone really?
Generally, well, it depends. It depends. Once you read this call, you have to check the website of the different NGOs that take part to this big project. There are different NGOs, and
Okay.
different NGOs propose different projects. Some of them are more on maybe education. Others are, for example, on women empowerment. Others are maybe on agriculture. So it depends on the sector. Depending on the sector, they can ask you for some skills. Well, it depends. So, but generally, you just have to have like the high school diploma sometimes.
Okay.
So it depends on the
Basically,
project. The project I participated in, I had to have a master degree.
okay. Okay. So, but basically, there are many different kind of projects with many different NGOs. I guess not only in Africa, maybe also, is there any other continent where people
Oh
could
yes,
go?
yes, of course, of course. You can choose. You can go in all the developed world. Under
Okay.
the, sorry, sorry, in all the developing world, like Latin America, even Asia, I think. Well,
Mm-hmm.
actually, you can also do it in Italy if you want, but I think that is worth it to do it in countries like developing countries. So.
Okay. We have another question.
Mhm.
How did people around you, like friends or family, take your decision to going in Tanzania? Like they were happy or surprised or How was it?
No, they weren't surprised. I mean, they knew that I wanted to do this experience for a long time, so there was no surprise. Of course, I was like, I was a bit. At the beginning I didn't know what to expect, so maybe, for example, my family was a bit worried about it, because they think it's like a distant country, something happens and we are not close to you. So of course, parents are like that. So
Of course.
but they were supporting me in my choices. So all the people that all my friends, family, and people that know me, they were telling me, this experience is gonna change you. I know that this is gonna happen. You're gonna come back and you will be different. But actually, I don't feel so different. I mean, yes, I changed more. Well, I even before going to Africa, I was like trying to live, essential life. I was always active in my communities. I was always doing things, like acting to change things. So it wasn't something new. But of course, going to Africa and coming back amplified all this.
Okay. So it's been a couple of months, but you're back now. Do you miss Tanzania?
Yes, I really miss Tanzania. I really miss it, because for the first time in my life, I think that I was feeling really connected to the people, to the places, and
Okay.
to myself. Because
Mm.
sometimes um, in our everyday life here in Italy, in Europe, we are too much focused on the work, on being productive, or on scheduling every moment of our time, and we lose a bit this thing of just connecting with people, on connecting with nature, on connecting with ourselves. Well, in Tanzania, like every day was like that for me. So I really miss this feeling.
Okay. Um, so we're getting close to ending this exchange, but before, of course, we do, I'd like to ask you if there's anything in particular you learned from this experience, some sort of message you'd like to send us from what you've learned, from what you got from this experience.
Mm-hmm. So, well, the message that I would like to share with you is like the most important lesson that I learned, and is that we are all interconnected, and we need to understand that we are interconnected if we want to change the things in our societies. We need to understand how other cultures and how their society is organized, because we can really
Mhm.
learn from each other. So when we open ourselves to different perspective of living and doing things, we can grow as human beings, and we start to understand that we are all alike, despite our differences in traditions and cultures. And also, when we see that we are all alike, we started to believe that if we put together our efforts and cooperate, we can actually change the things. We can change our societies, and we can change the world.
So it's a message of hope. I guess that's what we need, particularly in those difficult times we just went through. So I guess what really struck me is that this exchange you had there, so between you, the other volunteers, and the woman, the Tanzanian woman, helped. Not only did it help them in their lives, that was the goal of your volunteering, the mission, the objective. But it also brings something for you in your personal life. So I guess this is what we call an enriching exchange. You both grew up from it. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's really, really nice. A good message of hope, and I guess we could conclude on this very nice message. So let's remember that exchange is what is making us grow up. This is what we try to do on Jeune Europe with those interviews, with the articles we write. We're always happy to exchange with you, people who read us, because it obviously makes the debate grow up, and we learn new things, and we put things into perspective. This is really important. It helps bringing more tolerance, more hope also. I think our generation needs it, considering how the world is, and it is really good to hear from stories from people like you who have had such an experience going away. I mean, really getting confronted to a very different culture, and still got out of this experience more mature, more happy with themselves. So I think this is what we just wanna remember in Jeune Europe, and wanna keep doing. So thank you very much, Enerlida. Maybe
Thank
before
you. Thank you, Laura.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else you would like to say before we all go?
Well, I'd like to thank you again, and to thank Jeune Europe for this opportunity. And if you guys want to, I mean, who is watching this, want to give a contribution to the domestic worker cause, you can make a small donation to CVM. And now they are working with domestic workers under the COVID situation. And for domestic workers, this situation is very, very tough because their employers are just putting them out of the house. So they are living without a house. They have to go back to their villages. So CVM is helping these girls, providing like a package to help them to cope with this difficult period. So if you want to contribute in some way, you can make a donation. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. This is a good way to start and get into solidarity, into exchange, and hoping to build a better world for every woman, every human being on this planet. So thank you very much, Enerlida. We're really pleased to have you, and thank you all for watching us. We wish you a very good evening, and see you for the next live interview. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.